Let's hit record and let's kick it off for another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. And I want to ask you something right off the bat.
This is
The
exciting.
Silver, Edwards, and LaMelo cards that come back
Mhm.
PSA 10 from PSA.
Mhm.
Are those a good or a bad investment? So let me give you some context.
I mean, if
Edwards
you get
is
if
a
ones that
pop
come back
300.
PSA,
Just
yeah.
hold on. Pump the brakes.
Well, I mean, they're not as
He's
rare
like a
as
freight train
ones,
that's just ready to go.
ones that come back PSA 10 from PSA. Are there ones that come back PSA 10 from somebody else?
They're other companies.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I like to bust your balls during the intro. You can't get through an intro.
What's the pop on that card?
No clue. We've talked about
What's
this
the
a bunch of times.
MSRP on that card?
On the Edwards and the LaMelo, they're 1,500 and 2,000, something like that, 2,500. Honestly, I got to tell you, I love the question, I love the intro, I love the topic. They're cards I don't know the pop of, and they're cards I don't know the price of because they're cards that I am completely steering clear of now. I would love to get an Edwards Silver PSA 10. I'd love to get one because I think Edwards is awesome, right? I really do. I think he's great. But I think with PSA closed, it's not like that card is rare, right? There's no way that PSA printed less of that than say 2018, 2019, 2020. Not PSA, Prizm. That Panini printed plenty of them. There's no shortage of them, right? So really what you're dealing with now is that age-old conversation we've had a bunch of times now, especially this year, with buy something that's rare because it's rare, not buy something that's rare because the grade is rare. And my question becomes, is it a rare grade now that eventually the pop catches up with it? Is there eventually going to be more of these? Are there ones in SGC 10s now that would be PSA 10s? Sure. Right? Are people going to, when PSA is fully open, going to grade more of these things now? Sure. Are there ones that are in other holders? Are there ones sitting in people's basements? I have the card. I have a silver. I have several bases of Edwards and LaMelo that I think are 10s that I'm just not doing anything with them because there's nothing to do with it now. Maybe I'll send it to SGC. Who knows? They're not a card I want to sell right now. They're cards I'd like to hang on to. So the thought is I'm just going to sit with it. So it's an interesting thing, man, because we talk about supply and demand and we talk about all that fun stuff, but these cards specifically, the top guys for NBA in this range, not their blue, not their number, not their colors, because obviously it's worth it to pay to get those graded. But at this range, at that price range, right now, I believe the pop reports are being held down. So they're a card that at the prices and the pop they're at now, I sort of stay away from.
So don't buy a car that's rare because of the grade. Buy a car that's rare because of it being rare.
But would anybody make an argument that LaMelo Silver or Edwards Silver or LaMelo bases or Edwards bases are rare cards? No, they're not rare.
There's 330 PSA 10s for context.
Right, but it's rare right now in PSA 10. But why is it rare in PSA 10? Not because it's a rare card. Right, and now listen, don't get me wrong, okay? There are other examples of this, right? The Jeter 93 SP. I'll talk about Jeter later today because he's my play, right? But the Jeter 93 SP is not a rare card, right? But there are, in PSA 10, 24 of them. So it's rare in the grade. That's not something I expect to change, right? I don't expect there to be a mass influx of those in PSA 10. Right, that's a different scenario, right? There are cards out there that are notoriously difficult grades that are not rare cards. The Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer is one of them. You could put into that category. I mean, people would say 300 is not that rare, but there's the same amount of Edwards or LaMelo PSA 10 Silvers as there are Jordans right now, and we're considering it rare in that grade, right? And there is no shortage of 86 Fleer Jordans. Just in the PSA 10, there is a small percentage. Same thing with 86 Topps Rice and the Montana rookies. They're not rare cards, but they're rare in that high grade. Right now, those cards from last year in silver are rare in the grade. But unlike the other cards that I named that are 20, 30, 40, 40 years old, these cards are a year old, and they were basically out in a year where it was difficult to grade those cards at PSA at the price point that PSA was at. I do believe that you're going to see that pop increase significantly. I do.
Really? You think it's going to go to
Yeah.
1,000?
I think it'll be more than 1,000. Yeah.
Wow. So you think people are sitting at home with stashes of 10, 20, 30 raw cards waiting for PSA?
Yeah.
What service level? Bulk? This would be a bulk card?
Maybe 50. Maybe the 50. Maybe people got them in at 50, when they opened up 50. Maybe the 100. But it's difficult. A card like that. So what's the Edwards sell for now at the rare rate, right?
Well, I've seen it come down, and why I asked that is there's a second question of if you want to invest in Edwards, where would you look? Because before at his peak in the early season, he was about 1,900. Then he put up 40 points, 10 threes. He looked incredible, and then he went out with COVID, and he's been out with COVID for 12 days. He's going to come back pretty soon, and it's not my play, but I do think he's worth looking at. But I don't know the right card to invest in. This card now is sitting at 1,100, the Prizm Silver PSA 10.
In PSA 10. So what are raw? Because I'll tell you, if you want to know where I would invest in it, I would invest in good raw copies. I'd look for the card at shows. I'd look for the card in person. I'd look for the card that people have that pulled it themselves. I would snoop around in Prizm breaks if people are still doing them, and see if somebody pulls them and say, hey, look, that was a centered one. What do you want for it? You know what I mean? And I would hang on to it and grade it myself. I would potentially look at ones in SGC 10s. I'd potentially look at ones that have been graded.
270 or best offer on eBay.
Yeah, so it means you can get them
230 or best offer.
Yeah. I mean, so that's where I'd be looking, right? And I'd be looking, at ones where I think had a good shot of getting a 10. Centered, look at the issues like in person, not eBay with bad pictures. That's when I try to get, one at a show.
What about a select courtside? Would you look at that?
Yeah, I mean, those are cool cards. The problem I have with the courtside ones is it's going to be an issue, I believe. I'm going to almost put those in the same category as your favorites, the Purple Waves, but beyond that, the Elephant Skins and the Elephantitis, parallels, and the Tiger Skins and the Leopard Prints and the Fancy Pantses and all these parallels that are, quote, rare, but you don't know exactly how rare because they're not numbered. You're just told that they're rare. You know what I mean? And who knows how rare? Like, how many kabooms are there? I know that's an insert. It's a different scenario. It's not a parallel. But how many kabooms are there? I have no idea. And are there more this year than last year? I have no clue. It seems like everybody who goes to Target pulls a kaboom out of a blaster. I only bought one pack of soccer. Here you go. Look what I got. I got a Ronaldo kaboom. One pack.
You got a Ronaldo kaboom?
No, I'm just telling you what you see on Twitter. It seems like they're in every pack, kabooms now. So I'm not going to shit on kabooms because it's going to be 2022. I'm turning over a new leaf and I'm not shitting on anything. The point is those courtsides, it's very difficult to know what the actual universe of them are. You know what I mean? And when you're buying Rarity, when you're trying to get something that's rare, it's nice. This gold parallel or this blue is at a $199. This red is at a $299. So no matter what, when you buy that parallel, it's never going to be more than that in PSA 10. You're never going to have more than 199 because there's 199 total copies. It's rare, and it's rare in the grade. Those are the kind of things I think people have kind of moved towards instead of the court. And don't get me wrong, like courtsides, they're nice, right? They're cool cards. They're clearly rarer, but unless you have like a stated odds or you have something that comes out from Panini that says, hey, we didn't ramp up courtsides this year and print 20% more than last year, it just makes it very difficult when you don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. No fear, no doubt, but just some uncertainty.
Dude, I'm NFT'd out. My head hurts. I just want to go broke. Just kidding.
No, but listen, it's a valid point, right? Because the more things change, the more they stay the same. But in the hobby, things are always changing, right? And we had a normal, we had a all right.
Not in the month of December. This month has been a slow month.
But the point was buy a rare card and send it to PSA. because it's going to cost you this much money to grade, send it to SGC, send it to HGA. It became a different animal. And then you couldn't send it to PSA. And then it was you're calculating, okay, should I be sending this to somebody else? Or is this card worth sending at this level? And then you had the calculation of it may be worth sending at this level now. By the time I get it back, is the price going to come down? And what if it doesn't get a 10? Am I facing losing money grading this and getting a 9? What's the average 9? What's it sell for a 9? I'd be curious.
It's gonna be right around the raw.
The raw. That's interesting.
Wait. When I entered the hobby, I almost couldn't believe how easy it was to make money. Like, when you're new, so you're like, you tell people your strategy, but they're like, it can't be that easy. It was really that easy because I could buy my Zion cards. If I got a PSA 10, I went 10x. If I got a PSA 9, I went 3.5x or 2x.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, I know what a PSA 9 and 10 is. I could just look at the card and realize it's going to be one of the two. Mm-hmm. I sent like 50 of that card. I got no 8s because it's pretty obvious. Right. Well, let me weave this all together because I have a card that I think is rare. And I think the grade makes it rarer, but the card in of itself is rare enough that I don't actually think you should be that concerned about the grade. It's funny when you see cards like this, where the PSA 10, because it's so rare, gives it like a 40x premium over the PSA 8 and 9. But it's the same card. And it's the 2019 Panini Foos-ball Halan sticker.
Foos-ball.
Now, there are 1,500 of these graded, and this is a card that everybody graded, right?
Right.
This was still when Value Sub was out. This was last year. This card, I would say 80-90% of this card has been graded by this point. And there's 1,500 of them cage in circulation. The PSA 10 is basically a $10,000 card, $5,000 card. It's insane. But a PSA 8, so let me give you guys the pop on this. There's 314 PSA 10s, 750 PSA 9s, 8.5, and 345 8s.
I want the 8.5. I want the 185 because it's rare. It's a
pop one.
I want the
pop one.
I want the 185. It's pop
eBay,
one.
eBay 101.
Let's go. You've been playing the foosball.
And I've graded these stickers. I mean, the difference between an 8 and a 9 is marginal, and a 9 and a 10 is marginal as well. It's tiny. And a PSA 10 is like sought after. Okay, it's $5,000. Let's call it that. But a PSA 8 is $150.
Wow.
$150. And I know these 8s, and I've seen how PSA grades them. They're tough on these stickers. There's a lot of these stickers that they could have graded 9s and 10s that they put into the 8 category. And you could have it for, 1/20th, 1/30th of a PSA 10 card. And I actually think leading up to the World Cup and as the World Cup hits, the 8s might go up more than the 9s and the 10s. Because think about it. You could get, let's say, 5 8s for $1,000. I could see those 8s doubling from 180 to 400. I could see that happening more than a PSA 10 going from 10K or 7.5K to 15K. Am I crazy about that? Am I crazy going dumpster diving for PSA 8s over PSA 10s of this card? At a price point of $183.50 as the last sale?
It wouldn't be where I put $183, but it's not horrible thought process when you compare it to the PSA 10 being a $5,000 plus, foosball card. I think it's cool, man. It's a reasonable entry point for a Halan collector, where there are not many reasonable entry points for him. What's the Bundesliga Chrome in a PSA 8, for example? Because I know the base PSA 10 is a 4-figure card. I know I was opening boxes of that and selling them for $100 to people because I'm an idiot. But what's that go for in PSA 8? Just for comparison, and then the pop wise, because that's the first one that people look for. His first card, the one that came out in the Bundesliga Chrome.
That's not his true rookie cage, and that's on Dortmund, where the other one is on Salzburg.
But what does it not make true rookie? What do you mean by not true rookie? Your foosball one came out first, is what you're saying?
Actually, the foosball one is not the true rookie. The true rookie is the horizontal one where there's another player side by side.
Right, like a sticker. But this
Yeah.
Bundesliga card, generally speaking, is his first, tops chrome release where people would say this is the one that's sought after. I'm just curious what that is in PSA 8 because kind of what I look for is two things. One, the card. And if the card is not approachable, then a price point for a collector of that card to get in at. Right? So if you tell me this PSA 8 is $500, cool, then your Foos-ball play makes sense. But if you tell me in PSA 8 and the pop is not that nuts, that in PSA 10 that card is $2,000, but you can get this PSA 8 for similar to your PSA 8 play. I just don't know. I don't know the answer.
$274 for the PSA 8.
And what's the pop looking like? Is it significantly more than what your pop is on the Foos-ball one?
It's got to be. There's got to be way more PSA 10s and 9s and way less PSA 8s because it's a chromey finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really hard to get a PSA 8 on that card, and if you do, you're not sending it in because you could clearly see scratches.
Right.
Stickers are a lot harder to the naked eye to grade. PSA pop. Or give me a sec. I'm pulling all this up on the fly, guys. So I hope you stick with me. I hope
but they're understand because we're going through this is our brain dump now. They're going through it with us, right? So you pull a play if you're a Haaland, investor and you want to get in on Haaland because you think he's going to have a good World Cup. Your play is a good entry level play at an 8, right? So you got to do supply and demand. So the supply is low on it, and the entry price is low also. But the other thing is let's compare it. Let's compare it to another entry point of a card instead of a sticker, right? And then
can I give you some figures?
Yeah,
the 9s were about $450, $500. So there's 1,488 of these graded. Remember, this is of the base. There's a ton of parallels.
Right. So, but about the same. But about the same number. Then you talk about between 1,000 and 1,500.
But a lot more 10s. 950 PSA 10s, almost a 75% gem rate. 526 9s, and then, like I said, only 8 PSA 8s.
Wow. I'm on the 8. It's rare.
9 PSA 8s.
One of the 8. It's rare.
And again, one with a qualifier. One PSA
nice.
8.5.
We need I want the 8.5. So I want the 8.5 on both of these. No, but it's a good thing, right? Because what it's showing you here is that this is a card that has a similar pop that was a lot easier to grade, right? And then it becomes personal preference, right? Do you want the 9 at 3 times the price of your sticker? Or do you want an entry point of 100 something? It really depends on what kind of collector you are, what you're doing on these things. And if you want something that's hey, I have a Haaland that's in near mint PSA 8 sticker, and that's your investment in him while he's playing in the World Cup. There's also something to be said. They're probably all graded, right? Like you said, probably 80% of these are already graded. You're not going to have a significant amount more come in. Could this be something that goes to 250, 300, whatever it is, and you make a decent percentage on your money when a World Cup turns around? Sure, 100%. It's all about your entrance and exit strategy. If you're looking for this to turn into a $1,000 card next year, it's not going to happen. But if you're okay buying in because you want a lower entry point below $200 for something you want to exit this coming year, sure. I know card point's probably not going to like that, right? Like you don't want somebody to be holding a bag, dumping it. But this is a strategy. Like you're looking for something that is less now than it might be in the run up to the World Cup or while the World Cup is being played. You'd be smart to try to look ahead. I mean, everybody in this business says buy in the off season and then sell in the run up, right? Does that mean you're creating bag holders and people are exiting the hobby? People have been doing that for decades. So this is just another strategy. I like it.
There's a little caveat to all this, and I still think this card is going to run up, even despite the fact that Norway and Haaland won't be in the World Cup. And it's interesting. I don't know why I think that. That to me is just pure intuition. Like I think,
because people don't know that he's not in the World Cup. People are like, oh, soccer's coming. Soccer's coming. Haaland's the guy to get.
He's still going to be playing for Borussia. He's still going to be scoring goals, and I think this is like
he doesn't play for Barca.
He might get moved. He might get moved.
Anybody who's anybody plays for Barca.
Marca's struggling, man. Marca doesn't have the talent that they did just a few years ago.
I got you to call it Barca. Yes. Yes, 2021 is complete. No, I mean I like the play. It's an entry for I don't own any Haaland. I'm the guy who sold every Haaland that I had. I sold every Mbappe I had. Then the World Cup's going to come and I'm going to be mad. I'm going to have regrets. But it is what it is. Instead, I'm buying
regret.
Dunruss Soccer now and pulling Pedri codes. Pedri second years.
Are
Anyway,
you buying Dunley
yeah.
clearly? Wipe?
Clearly wipe my ass, Dunruss? No, I don't think they have that for soccer yet. No, I went kaboom hunting, and as usual, I did not get one. You have to only buy one pack to get a kaboom or a blaster at a retail store. Walmart, Target, you have to open it in the parking lot on your lap with the steering wheel in the background, and boom, there you go, kaboom.
You watch
kaboom.
Too much social media.
That's the way kabooms come out. So I like the play and I like the thought process behind it, and it really is kind of it's honing in on a strategy of try to look someplace when no one else is looking there, try to look someplace when there are things coming out. So I have a play also, and what I like the most about yours is the entry point, right? Because you can't really get too hurt buying something for under $200. You know what I mean? If it goes down, what's it going to go down to? If it goes up, all right, you have an opportunity to sell. So my play is in that same price range also. Only mine is very different. It's not somebody who has a lot of promise and has done good things for a year, and people think he's going to turn into something great. It's somebody who is done playing, but it's somebody who had a career that you would, almost anybody coming up now would sign up for his career. And there's a potential exit point on these cards coming this calendar year, even though the guy's not playing anymore. And I'm talking about Derek Jeter, right? So Derek Jeter is a fun investment, right? Because we talked about the card, right? Everybody knows about the 93 SP. This Topps Chrome didn't come out until 96. Some people consider that his rookie. It's difficult to do 96 as his rookie when he has so many cards in 1993. The interesting little historical lesson here, a history lesson, little education for you guys is what we have with Bowman and Topps now was not in play then, right? So people compare like his 93 SP to a Bowman card and his 96 Topps Chrome to like his first Topps card. That's a bad comparison. I've heard it made a bunch of times. You talk about now, Acuna has a Bowman first, right? With the 1 ST on the card, and then he has a first Topps card. Same thing with Jason Dominguez now. He'll eventually have a Topps card. You see Wander Franco. We talk about Bobby Witt and the value of his first Bowman card, and he'll eventually have a first Topps card. People look at the Jeter and they're like, oh, those 93s, those aren't really rookies. Like, he didn't really come up until like 95, So the 96 is really his rookie. No. Bowman came out as a Topps brand in 1989. Topps bought the Bowman brand. Came out in 89. In the last time we had a crazy run of cards like we have now, thanks to Mr. Ken Griffey Jr. That 1989 Bowman set was just another release. Like Score, like Upper Deck, like Topps, like, Donruss, like Fleer. You can look across the lines; they're all there, right? Bowman, the Bowman brand in 89, 90 was nothing special. 91, you name it. It wasn't until 92 Bowman that they released Bowman as sort of like almost like a premium type of card. It was more expensive than Topps. Topps was sort of like the entry level, and Bowman became a little more expensive. And 93 Bowman, you saw some chrome, foil. I don't want to call it chrome, but some foil added to the rookies. And Jeter actually has a 93 Bowman, but it was not a pre-rookie card. It was not something that was just for like minor leaguers just coming up and that kind of stuff to be the first Bowman card. It was literally just another release, right? And there were a ton of releases. There were releases then that don't exist now. Pinnacle is an example. Score Jeter is my play for today. It's a cool card, white card, with a picture of him kind of making his throw from short, pretty iconic Jeter pose. And I picked this one for a reason. It's a PSA 10. It is at the lowest entry point of any of his 1993 cards in PSA 10 by a long shot. Cool card. That's it right there. If you find a PSA 10, I looked a pop-up on this. A lucky number. It ends with 888. There's only 1,888 of these. Right? So you see that white card that's on top. If you can find the PSA 10, that's great. If not, you can just show the picture of the card. It's a cool card. Only 1,888 of these in PSA 10. It sells for, in a low auction, $145. Look at this one you found. It looks like an SGC selling for $60, right? Mm-hmm. So PSA 10, $150, $154 recent auction. They're still available. $190.
He looks like a baby in this picture.
He's very young, very young. A young kid, out of Kalamazoo. The next. So I picked this for a bunch of reasons. Number one, it's 93. Number two, the price point. And number 3, the next one is Upper Deck, which if you like Upper Deck, you can buy Upper Deck. Everybody knows about the Upper Deck brand because of Griffey. The 93 Upper Deck, also cool, like he's kind of like jumping and throwing the ball from shortstop, like, mocking that he's like jumping over someone sliding. But that card is more than double this. You can't get that one for less than 3 and change, 320, 330. So this one here is basically an entry level at half the price. And a lot of people don't know this, but documentaries. You're watching the Tom Brady Man in the Arena right now, and you told me, "Oh, this is cool to watch," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, do I need to watch this? I'm going to want to buy some Tom Brady cards." That's the initial reaction, right? It's like you watch this, it's like, "Oh, The Last Dance." When documentaries come out, you got the Showtime Lakers coming out. People are like, they find out more about these players, they learn something about them, and the card prices react, right? And what we've seen is card prices react ahead of time in the run up to these things. So in 2022, ESPN is doing a 6-part docuseries, whatever it's called The Captain, about Derek Jeter. People aren't looking at that just yet. This one here, for the same reason I think your Haaland, entry level thing is good, because when people want to get Haaland, some exposure to Haaland, they're going to look for like a cheap entry point. This is a 1993 rookie of Derek Jeter. Less than 2,000 in PSA 10. There's 1,888 of these as of the time we record this. And do I think if you grab one for 140, 150 bucks, that this is one when the documentary's out could be a 250? Sure, 100%. Could I think even if there wasn't a documentary, it is one of those. Jeter is a fun one, right? Because he's polarizing. A lot of people don't like him. It makes for a great conversation. Was he as good as people say? Right, he didn't unanimously get in the Hall of Fame. It was a first ballot, missing by like 1 or 2 votes, or whatever it was. Right, clearly had a Hall of Fame career, but he was not great at anything. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, and I'll be the first one. It'll be the Yankee fans who are out there who love Jeter will yell at me for saying this, but he was somebody who played for a long time, played on good teams, was pretty clutch, but that's difficult to measure, but was never really first in anything. He wasn't a power hitter. Most shortstops aren't. He wasn't the best fielder, not by a long shot, even though he won a lot of gold gloves. And we've talked about this just because there wasn't much competition in the fielding department for shortstops in the American League while he was playing. Alexi Ramirez comes to mind. I mean, you're going to give a gold glove to Alexi Ramirez, he just hit. He hit a lot. He got on base a lot. And I think he finished his career as number 6 in hits all time. Which for a modern player, you just don't get that now. People just don't do that. So the numbers are there, the career numbers are there, the championships are there, the legacy is there, the captain is there, and to be able to buy an actual 1993, score, the brand Score, right? I mean, if you're a football collector and you want to buy Barry Sanders' best card, it's a Score card. It's 89 Score, right? You want to buy, Troy Aikman's best rookie card, who you hear him on Sundays doing the games. It's an 89 Score rookie card, and it's an iconic set.
Cage, with Jeter, who's better or worse is pretty subjective. You know what I mean? Once you get to that level, it's pretty subjective who's better or worse. But what's not subjective is checking all the boxes. Yep. Team accomplishments, individual accomplishments. In baseball, you have defensively and offensively, and you just mentioned it. Hits and gold glove, and then marketability. If you could check all those boxes, you're set. That's why, who's better, Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes? Okay. We could go for days to discuss, Aaron Rodgers has less talent, blah, blah, blah. But Mahomes checks all the boxes, and he actually checks a few boxes that Aaron Rodgers doesn't check, and I think marketability is one of them. So,
as long as his brother gets out of his way.
Dude, his brother's weird. Super weird dude. So now I try to look for players that check those boxes. Personal accomplishments, team accomplishments, and marketability. If you could get all of that checked off, then you're successful. And that's why
it's funny you pick 2 QBs who are marketed in the same brand, in the same commercial. It's so funny you have Rodgers and Mahomes. Yeah, I mean they've been in commercials together. As far as marketability. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
Rodgers is like in year 15, and I think his only real brand.
He's become a heel.
Yeah,
he's become a bad guy.
And State Farm, I don't know if he's in any other commercials. Patrick Mahomes is in like year 4. and he's already with Palomalu. He's already at all these commercials. So Mahomes is already a little bit more marketable in a way less period of time.
Yeah. So talk to me about LaMelo. By the way, that's it for the Jeter play. We can turn the page on that, guys. There are a million different ways to go. I just wanted to bring you a PSA 10 actual 93 rookie at a price point that is attractive enough where, you can still get in on, what I consider an all-time great, a captain, somebody who's going to have a play, somebody who's going to have an exit point for you when this documentary, The Captain, comes out, when you can get in, in the hundreds. And I don't know how long that stays there. All of his cards have moved. They don't 50x. But they slowly and steadily, like that savings bond that grandma bought you for your bar mitzvah, Mr. Goldberg. It's not sexy, but it accumulates interest over time and grows your portfolio. It's the same thing as these cards, right? I remember when I came in, his Topps rookie was nothing. His Topps Gold rookie was nothing. His SP was significantly less than it is now. All of his cards have kind of been pulled up. And I'm sure this one, if we revisit this, we're at episode 5, whatever it is. If we visit this in episode 1,000, it won't be $1,000. But if this $150 play is $300 or $350, would you be surprised? I wouldn't, especially with the pop at less than 2,000 of them. Shoot, what do you got for LaMelo? Guys, I don't know what happened. He's frozen. He's handsome. He's back.
I'm back.
Technological difficulties.
Well, that one was an interesting one. You know what I did there? I had the VPN so I could watch American TV, and I just turned my VPN off because my computer was working hella slow, and it crashed everything. I was gonna talk about LaMelo because record sale 250K, 55K, and I'm sitting here thinking, what is LaMelo's ceiling? Is he? Is it like Jason Kidd? What's the best LaMelo can be? Because clearly, to me, Anthony Edwards has more upside. They're probably the same player right now in terms of what they've accomplished 1 and change years into their career. But what's Melo's upside?
Could his upside be Magic Johnson? I'm just talking about game. I'm talking about game wise, right? I
didn't get a chance to see Magic play enough to talk on that.
He was.
But you have talked.
He was the one who broke the mold of your prototypical point guard. And it's funny. Everybody loves to make these kind of comparisons, but I heard that comparison from Ben Simmons when Ben Simmons was coming in. He was a Magic Johnson type of player, and obviously, look, the kid's still young. We'll see what happens. But anybody who's sort of like a real tall disher gets the Magic Johnson comparison. That's kind of the way it goes. But no, Magic was a facilitator who could also create his own offense, and you would have loved him because he's the kind of player who made everybody around him better. And I think the reason why I would even make that sort of comparison now, and guys, don't get on me. I'm not saying LaMelo is going to be Magic Johnson, but we do this, right? It's fun to talk about these things with young players. Edwards with the flash and Ja with the flash, you could have Jordan comparisons because of the way he dunks the ball and that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean they're going to be Jordan, right? Obviously, I don't think anybody is. But for the Magic comparison, you like to talk about making people around them better. I'm sure Miles Bridges is a heck of a player, but nobody was talking about him until LaMelo was there, right? Nobody was talking about him being a most improved player / just filling the bucket, right? Because you can take players who do the right thing and are in the right place, and then add somebody like this who will find them, who rewards players for playing fundamental basketball and moving without the ball, and rewards them with a pass when they're in the right spot, who can turn, an offense that's middle of the road into an offense that, gets the most out of each possession. That's the kind of player that Magic was. Keep in mind, Magic played with one hell of a team, right? Kareem at some point, James Worthy, and then role players, Byron Scott. These are guys who, you put a great team around them. I don't know right now that the Hornets, as currently situated, will allow LaMelo to have any real team success because there were just so many better teams out there. There are super teams out there, right? I mean, the Hornets, as currently constituted, are not going to compete with the Bucks. They're not going to compete with the Heat. They're not going to compete with the Nets. They're just not, right? They can overachieve this year and still fall way short of what those teams are. But they're all young, right? And Jordan's there. You get to come play with LaMelo, who's a pass-first player, although he can fill the bucket if he needs to. I'm sure there are going to be some free agents who wouldn't mind playing with the kid. You know what I mean? But right now, Terry Rozier and PJ Washington and that cast of characters is probably not getting it done for him from a team success perspective. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised no one's traded for Miles Turner. Really surprised. This for like 3-4 years now we've been hearing he's on the trade block. This Pacers team is going nowhere fast the way it's constructed, and I'm surprised they wouldn't. Like, I think he'd be such a good fit.
With all the money you made in NFTs this year, give me one NBA franchise you would like to buy and fix.
What do you mean, my own?
Your own franchise. You want to bring
The
your own
Sixers.
team into the league. Okay, the Sixers. Okay, good. I thought you were talking about the San Jamilican and Qualaminos, like you were going to make your own franchise up.
I mean, if I could be a minority owner in the Heat and watch what they do and how they do it and learn from Pat Riley so that in 20 years I could do it on my own, 1,000% I would go Heat. Dude, guy's a proven winner. And like, we don't talk enough about apprenticeship and like learning from the best. I would love to learn from Pat Riley. Love that organization. I think they
This
do
is why I
things the
show
right
up
way.
every day, by the way. I show up every day so that I can apprentice under you and learn. I learn and
Yeah,
hone
you're
my craft.
tongue in cheek. I
I'm
learned way more from you, bro.
I'm being serious. I mean, today, actually, this was yesterday. I'm just sore about it today. Yesterday, Ian and I were playing golf. He got a putting green from Santa Claus, so you can play a little indoor like putt the ball. And he says this bet, right? He's like, if I get more in, then I get an Apple gift card, and if you get more in, you get hugs. Great. So I get to buy him Apple gift cards. He gets to pay me in hugs, which is fine. I'll take it because there's a finite amount of time where hugs will actually be paid. So I said, all right, but each golf ball we get in, like it's a breakfast time. I'm like, you got to eat some pancakes and some sausage. You got to eat some breakfast because he's allergic to food of any kind. And he's like, Daddy, if you're going to make me eat pancakes and sausage, then every ball I sink up to 10, you have to do 10 push-ups. And I'm like, deal, let's do it. So I did a lot of push-ups yesterday, and I gotta tell you,
Did you really?
This whole
Dude.
region here is painful. Like, I got pain in my arms, I got pain everywhere. Physical activity and me are not friends.
Well,
So, but anyway, some
stop
push-ups.
saying things like that because your body and your mind goes to work proving that that's not true.
It's
But
very
dude,
true.
10 push-ups a day is no.
Dude, I did like
no-
I did like 80 in like 5 minutes.
Have you heard about the guy who lost hundreds of pounds of weight by just going to the gym for 5 minutes? And the reason that works is because this
What did he
whole
do?
fake
Is there like a liposuction center in the back of the gym? It's like, there you go. No, sorry, man. Go ahead.
the reason it works is
He's
because
so mad.
fake it till you make it is a facade. It's not real because your mind is going to be like, well, I have no evidence to prove that I am that guy. But if you start doing even the smallest activity, now you form the habit. You have to form the habit before optimizing it. So even something so subtle like 10 push-ups every day, now your mind's like, well, I'm the guy that does push-ups. And then you go, oh, well, I could do more. I could do more. I could do more. And then you progress. But you first have to start, and starting really simple, really small works. So congratulations. I'm proud of you, big guy. Last
A lot of
thing.
push-ups. Oh, I have
John
something
Madden.
after, but go ahead. I was just going to say, John Madden, I swear, that was my last thing. Talk, go ahead.
I have nothing to say about him. I didn't get to catch him as a coach. I only knew him as an announcer. But anytime a great of the games, an ambassador of the game passes away, I think we should use our platform to just send our condolences to the family.
Great
And to
Raider coach, great story. Got to be movies made about this guy. Really has to be. And I have to apologize to Luca Nation because no baloney. We have a lot of plays. We give a lot of plays, and I believe me or don't believe me. The week before Christmas, I had a John Madden play for you guys. All right, because there was a Christmas Day special Madden about him, right? And there was a whole the story of his career, the whole 9 yards. It's a Madden documentary. And just like with Jeter, the captain, the whole deal, my thought was, let's find something. Now, I don't know if the play is still there, and it was an interesting, cute little play, and I'll have Andrew pull it up, and hopefully it's still there. I did not buy one of these. I still may, guys, but I gave you my play today, so no, I don't like competing with you guys, but this is a fun one. I'll get to in a second. Madden, it's himself, an amazing, amazing guy for the sport. One of these guys that is larger than life. One of these guys that just changed the way the game was watched. If you have heard of a turducken, most likely it's because you heard it from John Madden, or you heard it from someone who heard it from John Madden. He made the Thanksgiving NFL spectacle what it is today, giving away turkey legs and like a crazy 6-legged turkey. But what was cool about him was he did things that were not with the norm. And because he was always happy and always smiley and really never saying anything bad about anybody, he kind of got away with it. You know what I mean? And in a world today where you can get canceled pretty easy for going against the grain, I take a second to appreciate the guy's greatness and just smart. He didn't fly. Do you know that? Didn't fly. And he had a famous quote. He didn't fly. Did he
get on airplanes?
Didn't get on airplanes.
How did he get on away? How did he get to away games?
That is the good question, right? So you would think, wow, that's a problem, right? He's got to get to away games. Right? He didn't fly, and he had a pretty famous quote about he wasn't exactly afraid of flying, but just didn't want to die. That was his quote, right?
Well, I'm not afraid of flying. I'm afraid of crashing.
So I forget what it was, 1979, 1983, one of these years. I forget when the hell it was, but very smartly, he entered into a deal with Greyhound Bus, where they created the Madden Cruiser for him. No BS. The Madden Cruiser. And it was like something that got a lot of press as it pulled up to the game, got a lot of TV, a lot of free press for Greyhound, because it was a Greyhound bus, the Madden Cruiser. And I'm pretty sure what he got out of the deal was he got a $500,000 bus, which, pretty crazy. It's like a fully equipped, camper type of bus, right? That was going to drive him around the country instead of going on planes, the Madden Cruiser. It was as famous at the time as the blimp, the Goodyear blimp, right? It was like a spectacle. It was the Madden Cruiser. And I'm pretty sure he got the thing for 3 years and a 24-hour driver, like an on-demand driver provided by Greyhound. I'd have to look it up, but it was one of these cool, shrewd, interesting things. He turned a fear of flying into this advertisement, and was able to get this amazing. Check it out. Type in Madden Cruiser.
Let's say I have a game on Sunday.
Yep.
The team's still practicing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So he would leave and go and get on a bus, and he'd get there in time. They weren't practicing the next day, and he would drive wherever the
right. And then he would have to go all the way back. So did he even coach the team?
Of course he did. And I'm sure he did prep meetings and probably had people on the bus with him and the whole 9 yards. And that's why it's a cool thing for movies. But I'm telling you, dude, look it up. The Madden Cruiser from Greyhound. You can probably find a picture of it, and probably find a whole bunch of stories.
They probably weren't doing They probably weren't doing West Coast, East Coast trips too often.
I mean, listen, he was a huge deal, and he was a commercial guy. He was in a lot of commercials. And there's a story. Was it Miller Lite was the first one he did? Talk about branding himself, right, with the video games and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that maybe it was Miller Lite, the first commercial he did. I'm pretty sure that the company asked Al Davis, the owner, to be in the commercial. And Al Davis was like, no, but use my coach. And that's how the whole thing started. And it's a guy maybe there's an autobiography about him. You'd love reading about him because it's one of these guys that sees the opportunity in things. So not only did he make all this money from coaching and all this money from Greyhound, all this money because his name is synonymous with the video game football now, right? I'm playing Madden. I played Madden. How many people play Madden? But a few years back, who knows if it was himself or a business partner or whatever it is, you're never going to know behind the scenes. But I'm 99% sure that he saw the health food craze stuff happening in California and he invested in almond farms in California before the whole popularity of almonds. No, not the water. Just almond. Just places that grow almonds.
Oh. I don't know why I said water. Almond milk is what I meant.
And he invested in the land, the farms, and bought almond farms, and made a ton of money because of basically the growth of almonds, the almond market now. and he was ahead of the curve on that. I mean, like, just there's a lot of really cool, interesting stories about him. My favorite was the All Madden team, and people do it now. Like, what's your Madden ranking, right? His Madden ranking came out, the All Madden team. So what I want you to do on eBay, and guys, I apologize if this is not there because it was $11, right? I think it was 1991. It's a blue box. Action Packed was a brand of football. It was a really cool embossed, like raised, like braille style football, like a 3D kind of, like you could feel the bumps. It was like an embossed. Action Packed made an All Madden release. So if you type in Action Packed Madden box, it was a blue box, sealed wax. And when I was going to give this play a week ago, it was $11. That's a pack, I think. But you could find the sealed wax. Just type in Action Pack and scroll down. I'll see if I see one really quick. And then you can look at the cards. Emmitt Smith has a cool card in this. But don't do the year, because I might be wrong on the year. There's one, but that's more expensive. That's $45. Just get out of the maybe people were smart and looked because he passed away. But that's the white one. There's multiple years of this. So that's 1990. I think maybe 91 is a blue box. Keep scrolling. There you go. There's a box. There's a blue box. $29. There was one last week for $11. You can click on it, and basically it was the All Madden team. I mean, look at these boxes. They're so inexpensive. There's the blue one right there. But it's a full sealed box, 1992 Action Packed All Madden team football box, factory sealed for $30. It's a cool way to memorialize Madden. I would imagine the 24 karat gold stamp cards. If you pull out like just one of the cards and see what they look like, you can if you want to, just not a sealed box listing. But this was a cool
do that. I don't own the box.
Go back. Yeah. So now scroll up to your search and just type Action Packed All Madden instead of a box. Get rid of the box. Just Action Pack All Madden. You see what the cards look like. Action Pack were cool cards. They were not long lived. They were not really received well. They were rounded edges with like a braille sort of like bumpy type of card. And yeah, you can see what the cards look like. There's a Walter Payton there. Some cool cards. That's the Action Pack All Madden Walter Payton Hall of Famer. Payton on it. Just interesting cards.
Little rounded edges. Kind of cool.
Yeah, a little rounded. And it's like bumpy. Like if you ran your hand over the card, the Payton would be raised. So it gave kind of like a 3D effect to it.
Dude, it's not easy grading these cards. Like I do empathize with grading companies because you can't just have one size fits all grading standards because that would probably crush the grading score, right?
Yes. One other word to the wise on Madden before we kill the whole Madden topic, and it's a long episode, but I think it was a good one. If you are one of those guys that when somebody passes away, you think, let me go get their autograph. Be very careful buying Madden autographs on eBay, right? You want to buy one that's slabbed, authenticated already, that kind of stuff. That's fine. They're not going to be cheap. He was a notoriously difficult autograph. He didn't do autographs in person that often. And I believe, like many sports folks, you name it, there's also a thought that when he was asked for autographs, he had a secretary sign them. They have like clubhouse autos, they're called. When somebody sends a ball in to get signed, some people would have the clubhouse, like somebody would sign it for them. I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of Madden autos that are on eBay are probably not him actually signing it. So be careful if that's your thought. You're like, oh wow, he died. Let me run on eBay and grab an auto quick for $100 or $200. Likely that's not a real auto. So just be careful doing that. He was one of those guys that was just was tough to get an authentic signature on. That was why I went with the Action Pack box. Just because it's cool. It's got him right on the cover of the box. What else you got? Or is that a wrap?
That's a wrap, man. Dude, you know a lot about a lot of things. And it's kind of cool. It's really cool. You can't
just get me on read about.
Life is long, man, and now you're taking care of your health. You're eating right. I heard you said you're going to eat a lot of kale in 2022.
Kale.
So
that's it.
We got nothing but time, man. And I don't know anyone who works as hard as you, brother. So we'll see. We will see.
Dude, this isn't work. This is fun. This is fun. You throw a topic out, and I get to talk about it. You just get the brain dump. John Madden. I know a little bit about him. He coached the Raiders. He was on the receiving end of the Immaculate Reception. And to this day says it was not a catch.
Is that the 49ers?
No, that was the Steelers. That was the Franco Harris. The Steelers versus Raiders, where Franco Harris, caught the ball off the ground off of a tip. And it would have been the Raiders winning the game, but instead Harris, scoops it up off the ground. Interesting to see what would happen there if that play was reviewed. Steelers fans would say it was a catch, and Raiders fans like myself say it was not. So
Dude, there's a lot of miraculous catches. Like, I mean, just the two Giants catches, Manningham and Tyree. What?
Yeah, the Tyree one's pretty crazy.
But then Julian Edelman had an incredible catch too. A few years later, remember when it bounced off of someone and he caught it right before it hit the ground? So,
yeah,
I can't believe Wes.
49ers.
I can't believe Wes Welker never won a championship. He played in 3 Super Bowls.
He was a very good player. You know, one of the first ones to kind of be that slot type of little guy. The do everything receiver, and gets no love from a cardboard perspective either. A lot of people don't. It's something to think about. It's definitely something to think about when I look at cards and I'm always researching like, oh, this was somebody I collected. This guy was awesome. I watched a video about David Robertson and Shaq and their hatred for one another. And I look at David Robinson cards and I'm like, all right, this guy gets no love. He was a great player, but nobody cared. So it's interesting.
That's another episode. We love you guys. See you tomorrow.